Hello everyone, I'm Babli Jonathan and this is the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinox Television live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. In our top stories in this edition of the news, the main opposition political party in the Republic of Cameroon calls on the government not to sacrifice children at the altar of school amid insecurity and growing tension as a result of the socio-political and security crisis in the northwest and southwest regions of the country, and the Social Democratic Front in the resolutions of the National Executive Committee meeting that took place here in Douala over the weekend called on government and all parties involved in the crisis to create an enabling environment for a safe back to school come September 2nd, 2019. And out of the country, one of Francophone Africa's most popular musicians, DJ Arafat, quits the scene at 33. He died following an accident yesterday. Those were our top stories. Administrative authorities continue intensifying back-to-school campaigns, doing everything possible to ensure that children, pupils and students return to school safe come September 2nd, 2019, after 2 academic years badly affected by the Anglophone crisis in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. In Kumba, in the Meme Division, southwest region of the country, the divisional officer is intensifying the back-to-school campaign, and she thinks that intensifying school cleanup campaigns and holiday classes in the town will help build a solid foundation for an effective and safe back to school September 2nd. And of course, she has been intensifying efforts to make sure that children effectively return to school. That will be September 2nd for the 2019-2020 academic year. For me, Armstrong Sander has more.
Kumba, early Monday, August 12, 2019, was a ghost town as captured by these amateur photojournalists, but did not keep the divisional officer for Kumba 3, Madame Epole Waneveclean, braving the ghost town. She joined some inhabitants of Kumba 3 in a campaign to clean up some abandoned schools ahead of the start of the new academic year come September 2019.
As we witnessed some weeks back, the population of Mabanda decided to come out and clean up the government school, that the government had given them, because as we all saw, it was all bushy because there was no school the whole of last academic year.
An exercise that saw the cleaning of government's bilingual high school Mabanda and other primary and secondary school establishments in Barombikan. Epole Waneveclean also visited some schools where holiday classes are ongoing.
We also decided that the children, that's the ones, the primary school children, will have a holiday classes, which we all decided to organize. And I reached out to some people of goodwill who accepted to get them didactic material.
The top administrator for Kumba 3 and other key administrators believe that the holiday classes and cleanup campaigns will lay a solid foundation for effective classes come September 2019.
The divisional officer for Kumba 3 in the Meme Division, southwest region of the country, intensifying back-to-school campaign alongside civil society as well as non-governmental organizations, including even detainees like Mancho, BBC, and the other revolutionists, or better still, coffin revolutionists detained at the Kondengi maximum security prison in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, and other other persons. Notably, associations also think that the education of children should not be taken hostage for any reason. This message was echoed during a sports meeting of people from the Wimbom community. It is, of course, in the northwest region of the country, here in Douala. They met here in Douala over the weekend. For me, I'm Strong Sander once more. We'll be coming back to that report in a short while. Meantime, I told you in the headlines that the main opposition political party in Cameroon, the Social Democratic Front, is urging the government not to sacrifice children for school amid insecurity and, of course, a growing tension in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. In resolutions of the last National Executive Committee meeting of the SDF that took place here in Douala over the weekend, the political party led by John Frundi urged the government and all other parties involved in the crisis in the northwest and southwest regions to create an enabling environment for effective and safe back to school September 2nd, 2019. The party also talked about the upcoming municipal and legislative elections, indicating that everything must be done to ensure that the atmosphere is conducive for that election to take place. That is, the Anglophone crisis has to be solved, otherwise the party will not take part in that elections. Other issues were equally highlighted, other issues of national interest, as EQUINOXE reports.
The deteriorating security situation in Anglophone Cameroon, according to members of the National Executive Committee, NEC of the Social Democratic Front Party, has shut down schools in the northwest and southwest regions since President Paul Biya declared war on Anglophone separatists in November 2017. In the NEC resolution, pressure is mounted on the head of state to end the declared war and create a favorable environment for back to school next month. This to avoid children placed on the altar of war for sacrifice. For this to happen, the NEC members order a ceasefire on both camps, separatists and government. Also that government should withdraw its military forces from campuses, highlighting the fact that the armed conflict has brought disastrous consequences, including banditry and alarming rights abuses from both separatists and the government side. SDF NEC members urge a stop to the war at all costs. The war, which they say has paralyzed economic and socio-political activities. As such, the decision that no election be organized in the country's Ill state. SDF NEC members reiterate that the party will not be part of election that legitimizes the present call for separation and will be forced to take drastic measures if these elections are forcefully organized in the present circumstances. To them, the Prime Minister Joseph John Gute deceived the population of the northwest and southwest regions during his claimed peace tour. Regarding other matters, the NEC vehemently condemns the blackmail and the laborious attempts by Minister Paula Tanganji to muzzle up the media, especially those that refuse to dance to the rhythm of the Biya regime. It rather congratulates and encourages such media organizations to keep up the good work for the sake of Cameroonians. Also, the NEC demands the resignation of the Minister of Public Works for his scandalous declaration concerning the eastern entrance of Douala. Still in its resolutions, the NEC instructs parliamentarians to instigate Parliament open a parliamentary inquiry on the eastern entrance of Douala as well as bad roads of the National Road Network. On the subject of land grabbing, the NEC vehemently condemns the capacity and camouflage entertained by government on issues of thousands of hectares of land grabbed by non-nationals on the entire national territory. As such, MPs should cause Parliament open a parliamentary commission of inquiry on all of the lands which have been conceded or sold to non-nationals in order to bring transparency into the different procedures of acquisition and concession, the type of products exploited or to be exploited, the list of beneficiary companies, the different geographic locations conceded or sold, as well as the added value generated for the state in these operations. NEC also denounces the rice scandal concerning the 160,000 tons of rice stocked in the Semri warehouse for 5 years, with encouragement of consumption of imported rice, killing local production and consumption.
Coming up, Hemin Iluga takes a look at the sufferings of the people of Babesi in the Ngokutunja Division, northwest region of the country. The people are still suffering the damaging consequences of the recent floods that hit that part of the northwest region. And the floods came like like salt being added to wounds, so to speak, with regards to already the difficult living conditions of the people with regards to the Anglophone crisis that has continued deepening, severely affecting that part of the northwest region as well as the southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. And we'll be coming back to that with the phone of Babesi in the second part of this newscast. Now we're going over to the southwest region once more, or rather we're going to take from me, Armstrong Sander, with this report on the people from the Wimbum community in this northwest region of the country who have said that the education of children should not be taken hostage for any reason. An enabling environment should be created. The Anglophone crisis should be solved so that children can return to school. They were speaking during a sporting sports meeting here in the economic capital Douala over the weekend. For me, Armstrong Sander.
Man who is also worried about the education of the child and youth empowerment within the security context in the English-speaking regions. Their land of birth believe children should be given the chance and not held hostage. Though things done home could not be done again, they think key actions taken at these challenging moments should be directed towards peace, which is highly needed, back to school, unity and progress.
We make sure our people, both Cameroon and here, stay peaceful, get their children to school, and then live in harmony. That is all what we want, and that one will lead to the development of the Mbumland. One day we shall all find ourselves in Mbumland.
Among the over 15,000 Wimbum people in Douala are some internally displaced by the Anglophone crisis and some sub-chiefs who are not indifferent of the current state of affairs, and the people feel secure to have them around.
The Wikuda president, and I'm proud of the new chief Bakari that we have in Douala, that will be able to coordinate us.
The key messages from the people came out during the Wikuda Cup finals in Douala that saw the Valley Boys of Tabin Kane spanking Jema Young Tigers of Kambe 2-0.
The president and the Wimbum population in general, Veteran is feeling very secure, and we will do many things since the Wimbum people are with us.
Coordinated by Wimbum veterans in Douala, the event saw the participation of a cross-section of the Wimbum people in the economic capital.
And you know, we were the main sponsor of this tournament. The first edition was last year, and we spent more than 1 million. This year we have spent again more than 1 million.
The Wimbum people, while rounding up, called on their brothers and sisters in particular and Cameroonians in general to be ambassadors of peace and work for the return of normalcy in the two English-speaking regions of Cameroon.
The absence of a slaughterhouse in Jitapon, a locality in the Nun Division West region of Cameroon, is raising health concerns in the municipality, and inhabitants are calling on the local council to construct a warehouse, or better still a slaughterhouse, so that animals that are meant for consumption should be slaughtered in appropriate conditions. Details with Hemin Iluga.
Without a slaughterhouse, the slaughtering is done haphazardly. We are in the Njitapune village, situated in the Nun of the West region, with a local village market in which traders make available what is requested by consumers. The people see one side is absent. Slaughtering is done here left and right, in the bushes, on the streets, and it's not permitted. Cow which is slaughtered here with blood and other waste littered in drainages. It's leaving lots of persons sick. In our village, we lack a slaughterhouse. Cow is slaughtered with blood everywhere, with dirt everywhere. The local community complain of the situation which they say has provoked ill health in children and other vulnerable persons. Reason why they say to prevent such mishaps, there is need for a slaughterhouse. To avoid diseases, there is need of a slaughterhouse because in course of the slaughtering, people get sick. Meantime, the village occupants say a complaint has been tabled to the mayor of Onkwatamu over years now, but the situation is yet to be resolved. We tabled a complaint to our mayor and it's been since 2009. He promised putting in place a slaughterhouse, but till date, nothing has been done. While waiting for a slaughterhouse to be constructed in the village, the locals are managing the situation with little preventive measures put in place to avoid taking ill.
And now we going out of the country to talk about one of Francophone Africa's most popular artists, Ange Didier One, popularly known as DJ Arafat, who quits the scene at 33. The king of Coupé de Calais, Ivorian-born DJ Arafat, died today following fatal road accident, motorcycle accident in Abidjan. The accident occurred Sunday evening at about 11 p.m. DJ Arafat and a group of friends took their motorbikes for a ride in the capital Abidjan. He crashed into a vehicle driven by journalists from Radio Côte d'Ivoire. His bike and the car were completely damaged, and he was one of the first in Ivory Coast to obtain 1 million YouTube views in less than a day on his song Moto Moto. Coming up next, Talking Point. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us in Talking Point. We are receiving His Royal Highness Fon Yemo Oliver III of Babesi in the Ngokutunja Division, Northwest region of the country. His Royal Majesty, you welcome.
Thank you, and greetings to the televiewers.
What is the situation back home?
The situation is a bit calmer now compared to when we had the floods. So the families the victims have been accommodated by benevolent Babisi people who were not affected by the floods. Some generous Babisi sons and daughters and well-wishers of Babisi have also contributed, and we are starting to put some smiles on the face of some of the victims. We are still coordinating our efforts. We are still carrying out fundraising at different levels to be able to relieve the victims.
An estimate of the disaster caused by these floods?
Actually, every day we get new cases because the area was difficult to assess. Not only because of the extent of the damage of the floods, but also because of the crisis that has been plaguing the northwest and southwest regions of our country. So based on the latest assessment we had, there were more than 100 families that were affected. We have about more than 40 houses that were destroyed. Few of them were partially destroyed. Some of them were completely destroyed. We also have kitchens we destroyed. We have livestock, chickens, goats that got drowned into the floods. We got also a large, several hectares of land with farm crops that were washed away by the floods.
And many of the people who were affected by the floods are still suffering the consequence today. Many are still homeless. Many are still looking for what to eat because the crops, the animals were destroyed and so on.
You are right. Many of them are still homeless, even though, like I mentioned before, some, Babise is a family, so they could easily get temporary accommodation in the houses of those who were not affected in the village. They are still, well, they can't have, not all can afford for food except for the relief aids that was sent urgently and the help still from those in the village. There's still much to be done. We still have to gather funds to be able to relieve the victims, and the second phase will be to think about what could be done to get a permanent solution, since this is the second time in about 8 years that we are having this same issue. Yeah.
And villagers or Babesi people who are out of the village in other parts of the country must have been striving in one way or the other to reach out to those who have been affected by these floods back home. What are some of the difficulties that you face in reaching out to your indigenes, reaching out to your people back home?
Well, first of all, the major reason is the crisis. So for quite some time now, it has been very difficult to go back to the village because of security problems, not only for me, but for some of the top elites. So we only console the victims and help them through these relief funds, fundraiser that we'll be organizing remotely, sending it to some people who are able to go presently to the fondom, to the village. So it has really been a challenge. And that is why even the assessment of the damage was taking a long time and wasn't actually complete.
Have you received any aid from government this far?
Not yet. The government is still to act, but I believe the government will act, because through the DO, some reports was sent to the government. The government is showing some. Well, I can see. I don't have the details, but I can say the government have some interest in what is happening on the ground, and we hope to receive aid from the government, just as was the case in 2012 when the floods disaster first happened.
All right, and it appears there are still some things that are hanging, some things that are not clear concerning the money that was given when the last flood occurred, the money that government gave out to help the victims.
Yeah, unfortunately, the details are not clear to me because I was not associated in the management of that money. But from what we learned, part of the money was reserved to provide a permanent remedy to the flooding situation in Babise. But up to now, we are still to see what was done with the money to get that permanent remedy. Because actually, if it was done, we won't have been in the same situation that we are finding ourselves in today. At the level of our community, for example, while waiting on those who are managing the money, we try to implement some actions that could prevent the floods, like constant community work to clean the drainage gutters, sensitizing the farmers on best farming methods, especially close to the rivers, where soil could easily be washed into the river that overflows their banks into the town. There are many things that we did, and it was effective up to now. And I believe the crisis had a contribution to this, because since most of the people are now not in the village now, they are internally displaced. The traditional authorities, including myself, were forced to seek for refuge in other parts of the country. So the community work wasn't as effective as it used to be in the past. So it was inevitable, with a combination of other geographical setup. Exactly. The setup that combine to cause this floods, like Babisi is in the plain. It is right down and close to the Nsor Highlands. So water from the Nsor Highlands, from the hills, descend at fast speed directly into Babisi. The rivers that usually overflow its banks is the town of Babisi, Vamanda. The sources from the highlands in the Nsor area. So when it rains heavily there too, so we get a lot of water in Babisi, combined with the fact that the water table in Goktunja is higher since the creation of the Bamingen Dam. So water doesn't sink easily into the soil. So all these factors led to the disaster.
That incident.
Exactly.
I want to ask the phone, when is the last time he visited the village?
That was about, unfortunately, that was about a year ago. I would have loved to be in the village as I used to be, or visit always frequently, at least once a week, but unfortunately, because of the security threats, it has not been possible for me to be in the village.
What are some of the challenges managing a community out of the community, not being able to visit as regularly as you would have loved to?
Yeah, first of all, there are certain communication that can be done more effectively in person than remotely. Secondly, your presence commands authority, it keeps the authority to be strengthened. But when you are not there, even though the authority is still there, it's not as effective as when I'm there physically. And then again, not being in the village. Normally, there are certain traditional rites that can only be done when I'm in the village. Some can be done in my absence, but there are some that I must participate in doing. So the fact that I have not been in the village for a long time simply indicates that some of these annual traditional ceremonies, rituals, haven't been done for that long.
And you indicated earlier that several villages, many of your subjects are now IDPs, internally displaced persons. Is Babisi as empty as Kwakwa?
Well, I don't know how empty Kwakwa is.
Completely empty.
Yeah, Babisi is not completely empty. Life is still going in Babisi. That's why we had some victims, because most of the people who are victims are people who lived in Babisi. The palace still has, even though I'm not in the village at the moment, the palace still have people. It's still functioning, even though not as it used to be in the past. So Babisi is about 40% empty, but we still have a huge population living there.
How are those who are living in the village, how are they surviving? How are they managing to move on with the security situation?
Yeah, it is very, very challenging. And that is why the situation, the crisis, the floods issue, it was just like putting a salt in the wound. So first of all, even before the floods issue, it was challenging to make a livelihood because first of all, the majority of the population depends on agriculture and petty businesses. So because of the crisis, not everyone is able to go to the farm every day as it used to be in the past. There are times that they have to, when they hear guns, maybe a confrontation between the separatist fighters and the military, everyone stays home for safety. There are times that even without any gun, people go to farm with caution because we got instances where there was nothing but some convoys passing through Babisi and shooting in disorder got people killed on the way. So based on that, people became more cautious, and there are many other factors. And apart from that, even when they brave the odds to go to the farm, do some farming and get the harvest, it's still challenging to sell, to be able to raise money to buy the basic needs that they can't produce, because traders will hardly come to the worst stricken zone like Babisi.
The economy of the village has been paralyzed by the crisis.
Absolutely paralyzed, more than the towns, because in the town we learn, even when they say they are there's what they call the so-called ghost town. It's maybe once per week, but I can tell you some of these remote places like Babisi, sometimes in a week for consecutively, you don't see any shop that is open, especially when there has been confrontation between the two parties. Sometimes, the big market is once per week, once per 8 days. The traditional week is 8 days. So there are times that they go for 3 weeks without a market day, because on the market day, If it falls on Monday, when they go out to sell, you have the separatist fighters who come out to chase them away because they think it goes down. And maybe when they try to reorganize out of pressure the market on another day, they will still have the other party chasing them away so that they don't respect the ghost town. So at the end, they are in the middle. And
they're caught in the crossfire.
Exactly.
And the situation is quite difficult for those inhabitants. What about children, students and pupils? What do you think about their future? Back to school is on September 2nd.
Yeah, it is a challenge for the back to school to be effective, even though that is what we've been praying for. That's what we've been yearning for. First of all, because of the security issues, most of the children in the villages from families who can afford are out of the village, like internal displaced. The few children you find in the villages are those who are stranded, who do not have any families in other part of the countries where they could go to. And then now, even for those in the village, if they go back to school in the situation which we have on the ground, they won't be safe. You see, even farmers, mature people, they are afraid to go to the farms because of the security issue. One more of the children going to school. And again, the classrooms, some of them have been destroyed, benches and so on. Even though the elites were ready, willing to get those ready for school resumption in case there was green light for school resumption, but the security problem on the ground, if not treated, I don't think the back to school will be effective in Baguio.
And that is why the Social Democratic Front, all our political leaders, civil society, non-governmental organizations and parents in the Northwest and Southwest and other parts of the country have been calling on government to create an enabling environment for an effective and safe back to school. Last word for your people before we go.
Yeah, I would like to thank my people, not just my people, but the well-wishers of Babise, those who have been contributing generously to relieve the victims, to put some smile on their faces, to wipe the tears on their faces. Please, we still need more help. Please continue to do the best you could. We not only need to provide food for those who are affected since their crops were destroyed, everything was destroyed, they are homeless, but we also need to provide some basic sanitation needs and also need to provide the means to restart their life from afresh to build some of these houses. I think after this, when we we've progressed with this, the second thing we'll do will be to have a meeting to brainstorm on the possible, what we could do to have a permanent solution to this crisis, which has rocked our community on 2 occasions. And maybe during that stage, we'll be seeking for the help of the government, maybe with some resolution or some suggestions. We'll be seeking for the help of NGOs and all the other well-wishers of Babise.
His Royal Highness Yemo Oliver Sodonebio III of Babise in the Ngokutunja Division, Northwest Region of Cameroon. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for today.